In today's news, a BVI man murdered his girlfriend and her sister before committing suicide.
Jos Van Dyke lockdown finally lifted, and weather disturbance forecast to pass the BVI later this week. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting. For people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
A warm BVI welcome to all of our valued viewers. It is Monday, July 27th, 2020. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. Another beautiful week is upon us, Javon. But over the weekend, a lot has happened,
Yes.
Especially now the 22 Cuban doctors have arrived. We've been speaking and awaiting their arrival for quite some time now. They were supposed to firstly arrive on Thursday, but they actually touched down on Saturday. So we definitely want to welcome them. Of course, they are now in quarantine, but we'd love to hear more about what they are here to do.
Exactly, and I think just like you hit the hammer on the nail because lots of questions circulating as well. While their presence kind of alleviates some of the concern as it relates to COVID-19, we know the Cubans pandemic across the world, they're known to really show their powers in these times of crisis. But 22 doctors in a COVID-free territory really begs the question, like you said, why? And we look forward to seeing the roles that they're going to play. We've also heard several rumors. We've heard they'll be here for a year. Initially, the UK was supposed to be funding this initiative. That's what we heard initially. We're not sure at this point if government will inherit some of those costs,
Yeah.
but for a year, that's a pretty long time.
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to hearing more about it. We did hear about them being here to kind of facilitate and help with the reopening of the borders, but we do want to welcome them nevertheless. But of course, a lot has been happening over the course of last week with Jos Van Dyke,
Yes.
okay? So now after extensive contact tracing and patient testing, the government of the Virgin Islands have lifted the 24-hour curfew on Jos Van Dyke, as well as the restrictions on movements of vessels between the island of Jos Van Dyke and other islands in the territory. The lockdown was previously imposed on the residents of Jos Van Dyke as a result of a suspected exposure to the COVID-19 virus, but it was lifted on Saturday the 25th of July 2020. Now, Honorable Carvin Malone, Minister of Health and Social Development, announced that all close contacts, the majority of the persons on the island of Jos Van Dyke, as well as several recent visitors to the island, was tested. Overall, there were 358 persons that were tested, 335 on Jos Van Dyke, 20 on Tortola, and 3 in Virgin Gorda. And thankfully, all have returned negative. Now, Javon, we know that this lockdown has stirred up a lot of controversy, and the lockdown was met with some resistance. Now, the curfew was forced in force on Monday, the 20th of July for 7 days in the first instance, but we saw the lift coming after just 5 days after the extensive contact tracing and the testing, all the tests coming back negative. Now, Minister Malone expressed his gratitude towards the people of Jos Van Dyke, and he said, and I quote, I must once again express deep appreciation to the people of Jos Van Dyke for their understanding and cooperation with this public health measure, despite the many inconveniences caused. The government of the Virgin Islands continues to encourage everyone throughout the territory to continue to adhere to all public health measures being implemented to keep you and the community safe from COVID-19.
Definitely a lot controversy stirred up over the weekend. Like you said, just I think it was on Friday or Thursday, we would have conducted an interview with some of the residents in Jos Van Dyke, some of which were not necessarily in agreement with some of the protocols, because what we saw happening is from the time the government was formally notified of the case from St. Vincent officials, there was a decision made overnight. So by the time residents woke up the next morning, they were in a mandatory lockdown. We spoke to one of the residents who happens to be an entrepreneur boat owner, saying he had to turn back. They had to turn back just because residents were already on the boat making their way to Tortola, and of course very aggravated and annoyed that this decision came at such short notice. But more specifically, we saw persons saying that this is an effort of government to infringe on their rights. And shockingly, a lot of those persons who we spoke to via that interview said, we are not going to do this test because we feel as if government are victimizing persons on Jos Van Dyke. So based on all of these allegations, and based on the fact that the results would have returned negative, I don't think it comes as a surprise that the curfew was lifted. But what I really like about the situation is that it encourages dialogue, and that's what we want to forge between government and the people as it relates to these decisions.
Most definitely. Here we see where the minister speaks about public health measures, and as you said, it was met with some resistance from some residents, because it's what some persons are saying. How long are we gonna subject ourselves to these public health measures and these lockdowns when we continue to see and say that the BVI is COVID-19 free? But the government is sticking to their narrative as to if these tests did come back positive, we would have something different to see.
Yeah, and one of the points we want to note as well coming out of that interview, because one of our residents was also in contact with the victim, the alleged victim who would have landed in St. Vincent with COVID-19. And one of the things we learned is that the victim is actually at home in St. Vincent, not quarantined, have not been retested, and still living with the individuals who she would have traveled with and is currently living with, all of which are not showing any symptoms. We also spoke about the possibility of what we call a false positive, because these tests are still subjected to human error. They have not perfected the test, and the minister himself admitted via a recent government press conference that the tests that we have, they're not up to par with the, I guess, the ideal tests that are new and now being able to be accessed across the world. So there's a lot to go around. And again, like you said, they're just making decisions based on what they think is best, but a lot to consider as we also think about the rights of every person involved.
Most definitely.
Viewers, we're going to move along to a very troubling story on the international scene. Now, a Florida resident with BVI heritage has committed suicide after killing his girlfriend and her sister. Now, investigators identified the gunman in last Wednesday's double murder as 22-year-old Anthony Ashan Stout of Delray Beach, who hails from the BVI. Stout, who took his own life after fleeing from deputies in Florida, is said to have killed both his girlfriend and her sister. Now, the sheriff's office is yet to identify the victims of the shooting due to the Marsy's Law But an uncle told the media that the murder victims are his nieces, that is 20-year-old Rebecca Rose Davila and her sister, 19-year-old Sophia Davila. Now, Rebecca Davila, in a court filing for a petition for injunction for protection against repeat violence from September 2019, said Stout threatened to kill anyone who filed a restraining order against him. The statement happened after an incident where Rebecca said he tried to speak with Sophia at Ivy Palm Beach. Rebecca said she tried to keep Stout from talking to her sister when he grabbed Sophia, punched Rebecca's friend and her boyfriend. Rebecca wrote in the statement, quote, "I fear for my safety because Anthony has stated that he will kill anyone who files a restraining order against him. My younger sister and I spend every day together, which is why I am filing for a restraining order. Sophia, my sister, is too scared to file for a protective order," end of quote. Now, viewers, the incident came months after another confrontation with Stout where he reportedly followed Sophia in a car and broke out a taillight with a hammer, the court records show. Stout was under a restraining order when he was attacked, when he attacked the two sisters last week, Wednesday. The sister of the two victims said, quote, "You know the system failed us. We made several reports. We tried to keep this person in jail and it just ended bad. If there's a way that, people can come together and create something to prevent something like this happening again in my sister's name, I would really like to see that happen so that nobody ever has to go through this type of tragedy again," end of quote. Now, viewers, authorities in St. Johns County in Northeast Florida came into contact with Stout's car, a white two-door Honda flagged as a violent fleeing felon from South Florida. The car ended up crashing after deputies used stop sticks. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Office said the driver shot himself and died later at the hospital. Now, Jasmine says the family hopes that a law can be passed that would force an abusive person such as Stout, who had previous arrests for violence, to be involuntarily committed for assessment, similar to the Marchman Act, in which a person can be assessed and treated for abusing alcohol or drugs. She says this tragedy could have been prevented if the legal system had done its job. Now, viewers, friends of the deceased has set up a GoFundMe page, of course, for the Davila sisters. One of the sisters posted that a candlelight vigil is planned for Friday night at 7 p.m. in Miami. Now, Kylo, very tragic news as we examine this incident in Florida. Of course, someone hailing from the British Virgin Islands. We do not know what the circumstances of this incident is. And of course, at 284 Media, we do not condone any form of domestic violence. But here we see, like the sister said, many attempts made to prevent this type of situation, even a restraining order. And clearly, that was not enough, unfortunately.
It's so tragic. Javon, and just in general with domestic violence, as you said, not tolerated. And it's really sad to see such an ending for both sisters. We see where one sister was just trying to protect her little sister, and in the end of it, both of them end up dying, but they didn't go without making reports. So they did make reports. And as the sister said, the system failed them.
Definitely.
It's really tragic.
It's definitely tragic. Viewers, we have a lot more coming your way. Stick with us. You're watching 284 News.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, more good news coming out of the beautiful island of Virgin Gorda. Now, the 9th District has declared a war on derelicts, and over the weekend began a massive cleanup on the collaborative efforts between a District Representative Honorable Vincent Whitley, Minister of Health Honorable Carvin Malone, private partners, and of course, civic-minded residents. It was definitely a sight to see. Let's watch.
Derelict, whether it's in Anegada, we already cleaned up most of them in Anegada, taking them down Virgin Gorda, taking them from Jocelyn Dyke and we would be moving it out from Tortola so that we can have it is amazing the amount of derelicts that we had over the years. So we will actually create a program where we can have timely at year 10 or year 12, we can have the funding to do this. It was a very critical exercise, one in which the monies had to be expended, but it is needed.
I really want to commend the Minister of Health for his tireless effort in making sure the entire BVI is cleaned up and that the islands were not left out. He did Just Van Dyke, he did Enagada, he did Virgin Gorda. They thought they had cover on the COVID. There was no hiding place with this minister. No hiding
We have
place.
declared a war on derelict. COVID inflicted the assault, but here we are again. These cars must go. Virgin Islands must be clean. Environment is important to us, is what we sell. We have to get this right. When we're done, we have to make sure that everyone will actually do their part in paying the fees so that when these are removed, we can have them processed and have this job done. So, Minister, you are here. Your ministry is responsible for all aspects of this, and together with the Premier making the funds available,
Exactly.
all the at-large reps being a full part of this particular project, we want to make sure that everybody is in the know that these cars, these derelicts, have been here for years, and this is another 40-year or 20-year project that we're doing.
Closing it off.
Closing it off.
All ministries must work together to help to protect our environment. This is another example. For an example, the partnership between the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Mayor's District, keeping the islands together. This site here not just clean, it will be used for affordable homes that are going to be built by Chris Yates. Hopefully now the property is all cleaned up, it can commence before this very year is out. I think we're looking at 24 units that will be housed right here on this property.
The Virgin Islands is home to spectacular and historic sites. As Minister of Health and citizen of these beautiful Virgin Islands, I will always do my best to ensure the health and safety of our people and of these beautiful Virgin Islands.
Definitely great news for the island of Virgin Gorda, the 9th district rather. I know those efforts continue today, but overall I know the BVI has been very adamant about getting these derelicts and these, especially the bulky vehicles and stuff, most of which was inherited through Irma Maria around that phase. But definitely a great look for the BVI, because when you look around such a beautiful territory, but these derelicts, these vehicles, these damaged items, it's almost like an eyesore, and definitely not a great look for tourism as we look to reopen.
It's definitely an eyesore. Kudos to the government of the Virgin Islands for taking up this initiative. As you said, we've seen this from earlier this year, where Honorable Carvin Muldoon really made it a part of his mandate to really clean up these derelict vehicles. And I think in general, keeping the BVI clean and beautiful,
it's a good look.
It's everyone's responsibility. So we'll hope that when the government is finished with this initiative, that we, as you said, it was a phase after Irma and Maria, but we do hope that persons would keep the BVI clean and free of derelict vehicles. There are proper ways of disposing of these types of vehicles, but we're definitely loving what the government is doing over in Virgin Gorda as well on the other islands here in the territory. But Javon, we know that we are in the hurricane season, and we cannot talk about that enough. Now, the National Hurricane Center is monitoring a weather disturbance that will move near to the BVI later this week. Residents should closely monitor this disturbance. Now, forecast reports have stated that the disturbance has the potential to be a Category 1 hurricane before passing the territory later this week. In addition, current forecast models have this system passing very close to the British Virgin Islands around Friday. Now, at time of the report, Disturbance 1 was located near 11 degrees north, 36 degrees west, or about 1,958 miles east-southeast of the British Virgin Islands, which is very close. The system is moving to the west near to 20 miles per hour. This is expected to take the system into the northern windward or the Leeward Islands late Wednesday or on Thursday. While the system remains somewhat disorganized, there does appear to be a broad low-level circulation present with this disturbance. Now, environmental conditions are expected to be somewhat favorable for development. In addition, all models forecast development. Now, forecasters have indicated there is a 90% chance of tropical development. The Department of Disaster Management will continue, as they always do, to monitor and provide updates of any changes as it pertains to this weather system and others. Now, persons may be interested in downloading the DDM's Alert app, which is available in the App Store on Apple, as well as the Google Play Store, to receive updates of any hazards affecting our territory. This is definitely a great tool to have and for you to stay informed, viewers. Also, you can visit DDM's website at www.bviddm.com and subscribe for updates or like them on Facebook.
The final analysis, we have two options. Stay inside and create memories that will last forever, or go outside and say goodbye to those memories. We're not stuck inside, we're safer inside. The time is now to unite, embrace, and love each other from a distance. Show the world and the people in it just how much they mean to you by keeping your distance. It may be difficult, but necessary. Let's reintroduce humanity and heart to all homes. While we can't enjoy the sun, sand, and sea, let's take this time to remember why we are nature's little secrets. Stay inside, and when it's over, we would all be better, stronger, and we would all still be together. With self-discipline and patience, we can overcome. We are, have been, and will always be VI Strong. A message from your team at 284 Media.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, as we count down a very tragic story in the beautiful country of Barbados. Now, the region, viewers, is now mourning the death of former Prime Minister of Barbados, Mr. Owen Arthur, who died earlier today, Monday, July 27th. His death was confirmed by the government of Barbados, who said he died around 12:26 a.m. at just 70 years old. Now, the statement reads, quote, "The government of Barbados extends sincere condolences to his wife, Julie, his daughters, Leah and Sabrina, and his extended family," adding that Colin Jordan, the Minister of Labor and Social Partnership Relations, will, quote, "be coordinating minister for the funeral arrangements." Now, viewers, Arthur was a giant in regional politics, known for the longest serving head of government in Barbados. It was reported that he had been hospitalized earlier this month at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital after suffering heart-related complications. Arthur served as Prime Minister on 3 occasions between September 1994 and January 2008, and was the leader of the opposition in Barbados from the 1st of August 1993 to the 6th of September 1994, and then we had from the 23rd of October 2010 to the 21st of February 2013. Now, viewers, he also led the Barbados Labour Party, BLP, to victory in 1994, the general election, and won the elections again in 1999 and 2003. Now, in 2008, his party defeated the Democratic Labour Party. At that point, Arthur stepped down as party leader but remained a member of parliament for the constituency of St. Peter. He subsequently returned to lead the BLP in 2010, but he was replaced as the party leader after the BLP lost the 2013 general elections. Now, viewers, in his latter years, he played quite an active role as a professor of practice, economics of development at the University of West Indies, Cave Hill campus, and continued to write various papers on economics, trade, and policy. Earlier this year, he was appointed chairman of LIAT, which is currently facing liquidation as we know it. And Mia Motley also announced during one of her COVID-19 press conferences that she would be drawing on his expertise to help lead Barbados through these turbulent times. Now, Kyla, when we examine true Caribbean leadership, the late Arthur Owen was definitely the pinnacle of that representation. I think that's what we should definitely say. A seasoned politician, a visionary, a family man, and leader in so many capacities. So viewers, our condolences goes out to his family, his friends, and of course, the extended Barbados family. May his soul rest in peace.
Most definitely, Javon. But as we move on to our last story in the newscast. Now, Javon, as the world is grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic, lots of persons knew how it felt to actually work from home. So get this, Google is actually slating for most of their employees to work from home at least until July 2021. Now, the company had previously said most employees would be working remotely through the end of 2020, with some employees being allowed back into the office even sooner than that. But the decision to extend the remote work policy well into next year indicates that one of the world's largest tech companies is bracing for a very long pandemic and could prompt other businesses to follow suit. In a memo to employees, a copy of which was obtained by CNN, which reported this story, Google's CEO said the company has reopened 42 offices around the world. Google CEO said, and I quote, "To give employees ability to plan ahead, we'll be extending a global voluntary work from home option through June 30th, 2020 for roles that don't need to be in the office. I hope this will offer the flexibility you need to balance work with taking care of yourselves and your loved ones over the next 12 months." Now, the tech industry has led the charge on remote work during the coronavirus crisis, with companies including Twitter and Facebook saying they plan to allow some employees to continue working remotely indefinitely.
Big news on the international scene. And you know, when we examine this pandemic, of course, that is COVID-19, it has really forced us to re-examine, go back to the drawing board and re-examine how we go about living, how we go about doing things. And I think more than ever, we are realizing that working remotely is a huge possibility and it's very flexible. And not only that, you're still able to produce. And I think productivity is definitely one of the key things we would have considered in the past as it relates to a standard 9 to 5. But now we're seeing that persons are able to produce and some even overproduce under these new circumstances. So it's definitely something we want to consider across the board. And like I always said, as it relates to pandemics and crisis, you know, we don't always need to reinvent the wheel.
Agreed.
We just have to adapt, see what works for us, personalize it to fit our climate, and move forward, because, you know, surviving a pandemic lies in our ability to adapt.
What I love about this story, Javon, I think that Google thinking long term, I think because we have to realize that the pandemic isn't going away anytime soon, and I think we have to learn to live with it and readjust.
Right.
And I think as a tech giant, they have understood this and they're trying their best to take care of their employees, because yes, it is affecting business, but it is affecting individuals as well. And I think companies who really value the state of mind and a healthy mindset of their employees. We're definitely seeing this in some companies.
Absolutely, and happy employees means more dollars. Viewers, we are definitely out of time, but of course it was my pleasure joining you. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. Of course, we'll be here next week. Tomorrow, just tomorrow,
Yes.
to deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. Of course, we are 284 News right here on 284 Media. Have a happy Monday, everybody.
It's okay. I'll take care of it.
What? No man.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?